my name is Julia and welcome to another lesson. Today we are going to talk about how to apply the 5-stroke roll into the context of a groove. So what I played for you at the start was an 8-bar form where the 5-stroke rolls were played as 32nd notes. And we're going to think of this in two sections, or two variations you can say, where variation number 1, the first half, is 3 bars of time, where the 4th bar is the fill being played on the snare drum. This is the PDF, what it looks like on the snare drum. And variation 2 is exactly the same. 3 bars of time, except the accents are now orchestrated on the toms and the cymbals. That's the only difference. So it's exactly the same, but the orchestration is the only difference. So now I'm just going to play the fill on its own on the snare drum for you, just so you can hear what it sounds like. When I'm playing this fill in the groove context, I tend to play the accent and add the bass drum on the accents. It really gives the fill more depth and weight and supports the sort of the energy of the groove. I feel like if I wasn't going to play that bass drum, it probably would lose a lot of the oomph to it, that sort of power, and so which is why I added on. So I'm just going to play the same example again with the bass drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. Orchestration, when playing fills, is super tasteful, creative, and it's a real great way to make the rudiment your own. At the start, keep it simple. It's easy to get overwhelmed and play lots of different things because you've got all these options, but when you really restrict yourself and work on just 2 variations to begin with, it really can go a long way and make your sound solid and well practiced. So now that we've looked at the 5-stroke roll on the snare, the toms and the cymbals, we're going to go back to the form of the groove and play the first variation. 2, 3, 4. Variation number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So something that I'm always really conscious of whenever I'm learning something new is to make sure that I get to a space and a place where it becomes really natural to me, where I no longer have to think about what I'm playing and it just comes. And the only way to do that is to practice a little bit every day and really instill that into your muscle memory, into the long-term memory part of your brain, and let it all work automatically. And one more other thing that I'm really very conscious of as well whenever I'm learning something new is that it has to feel good to play. To me, it has to feel good, and therefore I know when it feels good for me, then it sounds good too. And everyone's got their own sound. And the biggest challenge for me has been, and still is sometimes, is how do I know when it feels good? How do I know when it sounds good? How do I know to trust that? 2 different tools that I use regularly, like all the time, is that I record myself and I am constantly getting feedback about my playing. I record myself in my practices, and I record myself playing live gigs, and I listen back to it that evening. And I also completed a degree in music on the drum set, so I constantly had that weekly feedback from my teacher, as well as assessed performances. Now, I know that university is not for everyone, and you don't have to go to university. It was just something that I wanted to do because it felt right for me. But the point of what I'm trying to make is that to progress as a drummer, online lessons are great, but they're only going to get you so far. It's really important to get that feedback, or to get someone to listen to what you're playing, and that way you can take that on board and get better. So that's just some tips and some sort of experiences that I've had, and hopefully that you can take away for yourself. I hope you like this lesson, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.